I'm trying to get her on. Hello, Asia. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, for sure. So, okay, well, welcome to JB Speakeasy. Thank you for being a guest on the show. I greatly appreciate your attendance. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad it's Saturday.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
For sure. You feel me?
Yeah, I
Everything.
got you, JB.
So, this is basically so basically, this is a part two or a follow up to what we were discussing yesterday. Where I had me and my cousin on, we was talking about
Yes, I'm
the
glad.
Cheyenne
I'm glad
Park.
you. I'm glad you're continuing it. Actually,
Mhm. Absolutely, and I'd love to give you a take. I know in the comment section. Well, right now, I'm gonna get back to what we talked about yesterday. Right now, it's kind of in the middle of my rant about her being potentially fraudulent. Have you been watching the show up until this point?
I have. Like, I literally came on like maybe like 4 or 5 minutes ago, and I caught you talking about how she's pretty much a hypocrite, right? Because she's jumping down
In a way.
Cam's throat for being low functioning, and
Mm-hmm.
not committing, and now she's been engaged twice, but about to be married 4 times. Is that what it was?
I actually misquote the number because I got it from Mediocre, the dude you see on the screen. He said four until she
Gotcha.
confirmed, but it's been 2 times. It was 2 times previous.
2 times engaged. Yeah. Personally, I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think both her
Mm,
and Cam can get it. The both of them. I don't change my mind on what I said about Cam yesterday in the comment section. Totally agree.
absolutely. Mm,
Um, I agreed with her when she said it was low functioning behavior, but I would say she's guilty of the same low functioning energy or mentality, whatever you want to
mm,
call it. I think she's guilty of the
absolutely.
same thing.
Okay, thank you. And you know what, Ace? I'm absolutely glad that you said that because I've talked to certain people in conversations of other people's because I'm friends with certain YouTubers, and some people were kind of having this look like bias towards actually agreeing with her. I'm glad that you have a consistency what you said because I haven't seen that up until this point. So I just want to give you applause on that. I agreed with a lot of what you said yesterday as far as fear can prohibit you from actually getting to your dreams, goals, and ambitions, but there's also a
Yeah.
certain thing as a healthy fear. Do you believe maybe that can also be a thing, a healthy fear of things?
Oh yeah, I agree in healthy fear. I'm not saying that Cam in regards to some of the women, I think the fear was legitimate. But I do think
Mm-hmm.
at some point or another, men in general, whether they are making a million, 10 million, 50 million, or 50,000, at some point or another, you guys come across a good girl. But everybody's so, I don't know if this is how you guys were raised. I know it is with women that it's about the numbers you guys throw up on the board. And so you meet the wife material, but it's about the numbers. And if you marry this girl now, then you got to retire the jersey, if you will. So at some point or another, you meet the good girl. The fear is healthy, but at some point, it becomes unhealthy when you meet the right person, because it's like, okay, but you said you wanted a wife, you said you wanted a support system, you said you wanted a woman who would be the mother of your child and the home you would build something with, and then you let her go because it would stop you from throwing numbers on the board. Now with women, we were raised, Tyrese was wrong, we were raised to want marriage. That went out the window when feminism became mainstream. We
Yes,
weren't
I'm
raised
glad you said that.
for marriage,
Yes.
we were
Mm-hmm.
raised to compete with the male
I'm glad.
libido. Thank the
Mm-hmm.
Lord I was not victim of that thinking.
I'm glad. I'm glad. You feel me? Go ahead. I'm going to you.
But yeah, no, fear is okay. I'm not saying it's not, but sometimes it becomes a point where someone gets crippled by it and you can't make a move because you're so afraid of the bad thing happening. And luckily for me, like even the relationship I'm in, I mean, both of us have fear. It's not that we're without it. It's just we have more faith in our king and in each other that it's going to work, rather than living in the fear of someone being betraying the other or it ending in divorce, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you just have to make the conscious decision to have faith in your union, faith in your king, the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and
I'm
put
glad
the
you said
work
it.
in. And
Amen
I
to that.
agreed with you yesterday when you were saying that you have all these women out here with the no fault divorces. I'm loving the manosphere for saying
Yeah, I'm
that,
a big fan of them. The
because
Black Master.
personally,
Yeah.
I'm like, word, I don't care if he's making $25,000 a year, because that chick will seriously, I'm trying not to use B words anymore, so bear with me.
Yeah.
If
Please,
that
yeah.
chick
Thank you.
wants your money, she will split that 25K down the middle. That prenuptial agreement better say if she initiates a no fault divorce, chick leaves with nothing, or she comes in what she left, what she leaves what she came with, because then it's a protection. And I didn't know that they were finding a way to weasel out of the prenup. So men have to kind of
Mhm.
one up it by having a witness, and not just the lawyers. I mean, an actual witness see her sign this prenup when everybody's all lovey-dovey. That way, when they try to weasel out of the prenup later, your witness, as long as nothing bad happens to them, can say, "Nah, she was happy and in love, and she signed it of her free will."
Mhm.
You know, unfortunately, you men have to get creative nowadays. But I mean, women have always been
Agreed.
manipulative. Y'all got to learn how to fight war games that way now.
Uh-huh. And you know what? I'm glad you just said what you said. Well, I'm sorry I didn't finish. I didn't want to interrupt because there's a few things I.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Well, I'm glad you said. No. I'm absolutely glad you said what you said. We have to learn how to be more, not cunning, but more exercise discernment a lot more. And I do agree with you on that. I don't know if you followed the Dr. Dre and his divorce a couple years ago. I mentioned this on my show yesterday that,
Mhm.
like you're saying, he had a prenup with that wife, but she was able to get a lawyer. I think she's a lawyer herself or something like that. And she was able to find the loophole. You know, lawyers that's their art, is finding the loophole. And I feel like when you have all these different things to where you can get a billionaire to give you half of everything, I think people like Cam are looking at stuff like that. That, wow, I thought a prenup was supposed to be the insurance, but now my insurance is falling through. But I do want to go back to something else. You said a few things that I agree with. I also am a Christian. And I've been watching my language too. That's what God been working on me too. So I'm glad you said
I
that.
hear
But
you.
I was raised in a 2-parent home as well. You see what I'm saying? So I value marriage. See, when my parents start off, my parents are older. My parents are both 70 years old. You know what I'm saying? They come up in
Mine
a
too.
generation. Yeah, thank you. So I'm not
Word.
alone. So you feel me? They come up in an age group where money was important, but Black people relied on each other for survival, to where the men and the women, the man would come home, drop the check off. You know, the woman would go and pay the bills. At least that's what I saw with my parents. My mom would go pay. My dad didn't make a whole lot of money, but he kept us stable.
Yeah.
I believe that marriage is, especially when you mention God, I believe marriage is something special. And God is very against divorce unless it's on the grounds of sexual immorality. But that's what goes into this no fault divorce. Some people say, I'm not happy anymore. You know what those people in our parents' generation thought? It wasn't all about happiness. It was about responsibility. We have
Right.
children. We have we have houses and stuff. And divorce makes things more complicated. Now, when it comes to the fear thing, back to that, because it was a few times I'm going to touch on everything you. Now, when it comes to the fear thing, once again, the magic word is discretion, discernment, being able to learn that person, you know what I'm saying, that you're with. But when it comes to somebody of a Cam status, it's harder to discern, because that fear is based off of the things that you also see. Like I mentioned, Dr. Dre. He's not the only one. Many NFL players have lost their careers because they had to keep paying child support, alimony. And remember, Cam is getting accused of making broken homes. Wouldn't I ask you, isn't a broken home also made when a woman says, you know what, I'm unhappy with this relationship, I'm leaving? Well, it doesn't matter about your unhappiness. You have children, you're creating a broken home by leaving. Can we say that that's a fair assessment?
Oh yeah. It's not about which, like, it's not about the gender, right? Like, whoever either
Absolutely.
initiates it by having children out of wedlock, that's broke. You're creating the broken home. And if a wife chooses to leave because she's unhappy, she's creating the broken home. I am a I- I'm fair across the board. What's good for the
Yeah, I was
goose
about to
is
say, I
good
love
for the
that. I
gander.
love that.
I'm like,
I love.
I can
No, I'm
call
serious.
a
I
woman
can't give
trash.
major credit. Yeah.
Right. The same way I can call a woman, because I won't lie. I mean, it's been hard. I mean, I've been trying really, really hard not to call women out of their names. So I just go with the word harlot as opposed to
Mhm.
all the other ones like thoughts,
Okay.
hoes, and
Okay. I
all
like
that derogatory stuff. But it's like, but both men and women can
Right.
be
I agree.
harlots. She got a body count that's this number. He got a body count that's 500 to 1,002. Both y'all are nasty. I can say that. If she breaks the marriage because she's unhappy, you're creating the broken home, and she deserves any consequence that follows that. Now, the issue, I would say, it's not just the prenuptial agreement and these attorneys, it's the law of the land. Like, it's geared
Yeah.
towards women or trannies, you know, so it's not for
That's
real men. It doesn't benefit you guys in any way. And so I understand the fear of entering a holy union. And once you're past, I would say like that first 2 years, because now the love bubble bursts and it's officially an institution where both parties have to put the work
Mhm.
in now, especially because you're bringing children. It's about growing together. It's
Amen.
officially an
Mhm.
institution. Whichever one breaks it should have to deal with all of the consequences and lose privileges like having custody of the children, because even if a father does have to get up and go to work and do all these things, and you know, because that's a man's
Mhm.
role, the mother should, if she
Mhm.
broke the union, she shouldn't get custody. If he breaks the union, he shouldn't have custody. That would just be fair. Now, I
Right.
do think there are good reasons why a man or a woman leave a marriage. But if it's because, oh, I'm not happy today, I don't, you know, you don't make me feel loved, bitch. No, Asia, don't say that word. But what do you
Yeah,
mean?
thank you,
I'm
thank you.
out
I get
there
it though.
working all the
Thank
time.
you.
Like, I'm out there working. I'm, you know, I'm a truck driver. I'm on the road. I'm trying to get us some stacks. I'm trying to build. You said you want a
Right.
house. You said you want this, and I'm making it happen. And she complaining. Sometimes men wife the hose, and that's a problem today. You know, you
Mhm.
guys, for whatever reason, you know, I think what happened was rich men were wiving the hose, and now when the hoes bail on the marriage, everybody who watched those celebrities were doing the exact same thing they were doing, wiving the hoes. And
Mhm.
so now it puts you off of marriage in general.
Mhm.
I think that's what
Let
happened
me.
there with the men.
Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off because I hate cutting people off. But when I hear an interesting
Yeah, I do.
point, I must harp on that a little bit. You said that the men are marrying hoes. I think that goes back to my original point of, because let me give my personal. 'Cause I just got out of a relationship about a month ago. When everything
I'm sorry to hear
started,
that.
when we first, yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. When me and this girl started dating, I'm gonna leave her name out 'cause I think she's watching. I don't want to put her out there, but
I got
in the beginning, everything was all, I guess we could say, peachy. I'm trying to use different terms. Everything was all good, but it
you.
turns out, long story short, she was wearing a mask, meaning that there was a lot of things. She knew I was a good godly man. So what did she tell me? Oh yeah, I'm into God too. Oh, I like these type of movies too. This and that. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not trying to make it a gender war, because I don't like gender warring, but I like to break things down properly.
I hear you.
Could it be, excuse me, could it be that maybe these celebrities and the men that were watching what these men were doing maybe have they been deceived? Because I was almost deceived too. I'll be keeping real. I was almost deceived because I'm like, I thought she was this way, and it was convincing until you get to know a person. Like, you know how they say you don't know a person till you live with them, or don't know them till you've been with them a while.
Yeah.
And when you're
Yeah.
with this person a while, those women that they're wifing up hoes, I don't think that these men were intentionally doing this. Because let me tell you, from a male perspective, we don't like, we see men compartmentalize. We know how to separate stuff. We like, well, I might have sex with this woman, even though I'm a Christian. I understand that we're not supposed to do that, but just on a worldly point of view, because we're still in the world, they would look at
I
men
get
in
you.
our nature. We will have sex with the hoe, but we'll never wife one, because we know
Yeah.
that there's things that we don't trust about a hoe, because a hoe is liable to do anything. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I think that a lot of these women wear masks, especially with celebrities, because they know I have to play a role. But now that I got the ring, oh, I'm locked in. There's some people manipulative like that, Asia. There's some people that are manipulative to the
You're
point where
not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong when you say that. I mean, women in general, they've always been that way. I mean, they've always been manipulative. I mean, why do you think we got kicked out the Garden of Eden in the first place? Because Eve
you feel me?
manipulated Adam.
Right. Okay. Right.
You know, women
No,
were
I
always
love that
that
you're a Christian.
way.
I am too.
Right. And I totally get you because, you know, I'm Christian. I say I'm a Christian supremacist. I believe Jesus Christ should have supreme authority over the land of the United States.
Over your life.
Um, yeah,
Absolutely. We
my
lost that era.
life, the
But yeah.
country, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the being of the world. And I have this conversation all the time in my relationship, you know, like the struggles of being of the world and knowing when to like assert that discernment sometimes. And you sound exactly like my partner. You sound exactly like him, as it relates
Mm-hmm.
to the male perspective. And it's like, listen, I can't speak as a man. What I can say is everything I say is from a female perspective. That's one of the things I liked about that, you know, Dr. Bryant said to Cam was that when women say, in my opinion, as a woman, because we can't speak
Mm-hmm.
on men. But what I can say is women have always been manipulative. And after a certain amount of time, yes, the mask does come off. I would say to men, don't get caught up in the pretty things. And the same thing with women who find themselves getting caught up in abusive relationships. Don't get caught up in the
Mm-hmm.
pretty thing, right? Don't get caught up
Mm-hmm.
in that because beauty fades. His handsome nature is going to fade at some point or another. What's left if you remove sexual attraction,
Right.
if you remove physical intimacy? What's left? Is there any form of intimacy that's left between the two of you? If the answer to that is no, he shouldn't be with her and she shouldn't be with him. Because if all there is a physical attraction and a physical
Absolutely.
intimacy, then you are already getting got. And that's how most men are getting got because she's using her beauty. There was this trend running around on TikTok and YouTube about the what do they call it? The pretty girl? I think that's what it was. They were saying, you know, the pretty girl and then the regular girl or whatever.
Oh, I'm
Now,
not
I was
familiar
a
with that.
normal
Maybe
girl. I was never the pretty girl.
okay.
Yeah, there was this chick. I
You're a
don't know if
beautiful
she
to
was
me.
on
You're a beautiful
TikTok
woman.
or what.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not the pretty girl was the girl who had the weave in her hair, the lashes, all this heavy ass makeup,
Yeah.
and the tight bodycon
Hey,
dresses.
I'm sorry, Asia. Remember, I hate to cut off, but when like I said, when I hear certain points, I'm gonna tell you another something from the
Yeah.
male perspective, and I think your men may agree. Men don't really care about what women do with their hair, but if we had to preface, like we could control y'all for a second, like and make like mind control y'all. You just follow my example.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
would tell y'all to wear your natural hair more than the fake hair. So it's so the pretty woman to a black woman to a black man. Let's talk black people because you're black. As black men, we
F.
admire, at least myself, I admire a black woman's natural hair because it shows that you know it shows a
Yeah.
self-love for yourself because it takes me back to my mom's day. Like I said, my mom is 70. She lived through the 70s where
You're not
there were
wrong.
men
I
rocking
mean,
froze, and
yep.
women were rocking froze.
That's
You see what I'm
how
saying?
that's how I got and that's how I met my partner. I mean, I was literally getting off the bus, walking to the 7-Eleven, and there he was.
Mhm.
I mean, I was in
That's
like
funny. I met my
baggy
girl at
pants.
7-Eleven. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
was wearing baggy pants. I was wearing, you know, a
Mhm.
baggy sweater and buying cigarettes. I mean, that was me.
Mhm.
And that's how I attracted him. Now, mind you, I live in Dallas, so there are pretty girls running around here all the time. And I'm, you know, the whole time I'm trying to think, why me and not them? And he eventually told me, it's like, you know, I personally think I'm a ball of sunshine with two legs. So I just knew that was probably part of it. But ultimately,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
could.
not the girl
Yeah.
who's like, I'm always in the salon and I always need my eyelashes done. Personally, I don't like them stuff. You know, I don't
Right.
always
Neither
need
do me.
my nails done. I was raised with a brother in the house. I'm pretty much a tomboy. You know, I don't understand why these pretty girls think that this is what men are looking for. Now, luckily for me, I had the privilege of having an older brother in the home. So I had an idea that the fake stuff is not what men are looking for. And I do agree with you when you say it's throughout a certain period of time where the mask starts to come off. I've been consistent, right? That's what men want to see. You guys pay attention to every
Exactly.
detail. You want to know
Exactly.
about the
Mm-hmm.
past. You want to know those
Mm-hmm.
things. And so there's no reason to lie about it. This is what my partner tells me all the time. It's in the past. So there's no reason to lie about it. I don't want to ever wife a hoe, but if there's nothing that's so outrageous like an outrageous body count like they don't want to wife someone that their homie or someone they work with had been with at
Right.
one point or another. So it's
Exactly.
like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
no, I get that, totally get it. But like I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Mm-hmm.
Women, we it's not that they won't get with a man hoe, and it's not that they won't get with a man who already who's considered a baby daddy. It's about a level of respect. You'll never have respect from this woman. She'll get with you if she thinks she'll get child support, if she thinks she can trap you herself, you know, but she'll
Hmm.
never have respect for you. She'll see that she may be able to control you. But women don't like baby daddies the same way men don't want to deal, it's because they don't want the baby mama drama with women, right? It's
Right.
not him per se, it's the chick. The same way you men don't want to deal with baby moms because
Right.
you find it disrespectful for a man to come into a home to another man's child. It's like, well,
Right.
what makes you think women don't think the same thing? It's the same thing. Pride, you know,
Hmm.
we all those seven deadly sins, lust, pride, all of that, we're victims
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
too. So it's pretty much the same. What's good for the goose,
Yeah.
good for the gander. That's I'm consistent. I think you are too. What I
Yeah.
first came
And
on to
I
your
appreciate
podcast
that
today,
about
you
you
were
too. Go ahead.
talking
Mhm.
about, the harsh things about how they tear down black men in society. You're right, but
Mhm.
I have to say I don't think black culture helps at all. I think it just makes
Mm,
it worse for you black men. Like no one takes y'all
I
seriously
agree.
because y'all are killing each other, selling dope.
Agree.
Why listen to you?
Right.
I think that's part of why it's easy to tear you guys down.
Mhm. Well, I would say to that though, Asia, is that with every group of people, not just black people, this is concentrating on blacks because we're both black. I think
Yeah.
we have a discernment between there are different types of, like you said, you watched look at the Manosphere, yes. Um,
Yeah.
in the
Sometimes.
Manosphere, they've had Manosphere battles. I don't know if you watched when they had the Manosphere battles where they had the educated lame versus the street dude. Have you heard their debates?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay,
You got
well
to
let
remember.
me
So
say,
even though I'm part black, I'm such an old soul. I don't
me
really
too.
engage with
Hmm.
black culture because I've been called an
Me too. Yeah,
Oreo and a white girl my whole life.
I've been
So I'm
talking. I
like, all
said,
right,
I've
I'm
been
gonna
told
get
that
kicked
I
out.
talk white and stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I got kicked
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
out of it at a black community. So I'm like, all right, then I won't engage. It's that simple. Like I don't watch
Right.
black
No.
movies, listen to hip hop. That's me.
Okay. So you're more of like maybe a jazz type girl, like a R&B, old
Love
school
me
R&B.
some jazz. Yes, Anita Baker is all up and through my
I
playlist.
love some of Anita Baker, Angel. Ooh. No, I love no, I you know everything. No, I love that's what man. That's crazy. You're just like me because I like a lot of the old school too. I listen to. I don't listen to today's rap. I'm more like '90s, but more R&B of the '60s and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that's why I mentioned Michael
Yes.
Jackson earlier and Temptations, things like that. Yeah, exactly. OJ's, you feel
Yes.
me? People like that.
Word. It's like, oh,
Uh-huh, exactly. See, and that's where I'm glad we mentioned though that era of R&B because that was an era of real love for black people. Even though there were people that cheated and did things that back then, it was more of a love for your people. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
It was love.
Yeah.
I missed that because all we have now is just let's get the bag, and women want to get the bag, and men are just let's just have sex with
Yes.
women. I don't agree with all that. I believe we should have a center point of love and appreciation for one another. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on telling me this because I'm glad that there's another black woman that thinks like me, another black man who believes in the idea of black love. Now, black culture, I disagree with a lot of it too. From a lot of the Black
Yeah.
Lives Matter to some of the killing each other and all that, I'm against. If you check out my podcast, I have several videos talking about this. But I
Yeah.
will agree with you. As black men, like I got on Cam yesterday, like how Cam was acting immature during the video. I'm like, bro, this is a serious moment. You know what I'm saying? He talking about, he's
Yeah.
singing songs in the middle. I'm like, that's not
Yeah.
mature,
I
bro.
felt
For
like
black men.
it was a perfect opportunity for him to accept responsibility, but
Yeah,
hold her accountable. Because if she did that Nick Cannon show beforehand, there's no way he didn't know
yeah,
about her previous marriages. And I'm like, okay, but now this was the perfect opportunity to be like, okay, look, I know I have my issues. And yes, I've created several broken homes out of fear, but you've walked away from unions or about to be unions for your own
mm-hmm.
reasons. And then I would have loved to have heard her response on why, because I'm like, unless he went and smashed a bunch of women, came home with the disease, created a child out of wedlock, because she made it perfectly clear she's not dating a man with a child. So if she found
Right,
out months before they're married, that he had a kid with someone, well, then it's justifiable. Her fault why the engagement ended, nonetheless, but still justifiable reason for why you back out of a marriage,
Mhm.
or an engagement. So put her feet to the fire, hold yourself accountable, take responsibility, and then hold her feet to the fire, because that's what
Amen.
I prefer to do. I mean, even as a Christian who, I have, like I said, I smoke cigarettes, so I have my own
Me too. I have that.
cross to, my own cross to bear, my own burden with it. But I tell people from the jump, this is my sin, this is my burden, but I can take responsibility for my sin, so
Amen.
that way I can save face when I hold someone accountable for theirs. No judgment, but I am
No, I
going to call
understand.
out
Mhm.
the sinning,
Right.
and I think he
Amen.
should have just done that, as opposed to started singing. I'm like, bro, it's a perfect
Yeah, like that
opportunity
was
to hold
immature.
it
I'm
to
like,
fire.
yeah, like
Yeah.
she called him, or she called deflecting. But see, here's the thing, though, Asia. He kept questioning her about the why did you not accept the proposals? But then he started acting immature, so that's why most people don't even remember that part of the interview. And that goes back to, like you said, black men have to be held accountable. Like, bro, when you're in a serious setting, you need to be serious. And as far
Yeah.
as
And
Christianity,
personally, because I didn't even know who this chick was. Like, I knew Cam Newton because I like to watch football every now and again. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of him. I even, I did a whole episode on Cam.
oh, so you're a
There
content
were
creator
two.
too?
I am, like, that's why, I got the headset,
Oh, okay.
the podcast mic. Like, I got
Okay,
my
that
show's
makes
called
sense
News
now.
and
Okay.
Insight.
You know, I would love to
Yeah.
come on your show
So
sometimes. Yeah, so
that
absolutely.
would be perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I just went wild yesterday on my live. Like, I went off on trans people yesterday. I'm so sick of them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
me, you have to do a
I didn't
show on
even know
that. If
who
you,
this chick was.
Mhm.
Like, I did not know who this was. I'm like, when they said Basketball Wives, she was on Basketball Wives. Like, I already don't have credibility. I already didn't, buy into her stuff, because she gave me the pretty girl vibe. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I like what she's saying, holding him accountable. But there were two parts that I actually talked about. It was the broken home and the low functioning aspect. But it's like, yeah, it's big in Black America for the most part. Like, you guys, Black men, really, it's been busted up since the 60s. I mean, they really hated Black men back
Yes,
then.
yes.
And now society, it's not even solely just you Black men. Now it's all men. So
Men,
I
exactly.
feel
Yep,
like
yeah,
men in
perfect.
general. So it's like, you can't even make this about Black, white, Spanish. You can't even make it about that anymore. If you Black men want to make any strides in society, y'all gonna have to pull together as men and take society the hell back. Like, y'all got to take it back from the women. And you'd be surprised how
Agreed,
many women
100%.
would be all for that. Because if these women vote for
Absolutely.
Kamala Harris, I'm gonna be pissed. Like,
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I said. Me, you got to do a show so we can get deeper into that. That and the transgender. I'd love to come on your show and talk about. Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. Mhm.
yeah, no, go ahead, because I'm probably
Absolutely.
gonna give you
Yeah, go
like
ahead.
another 5, maybe 10 more minutes. But yeah, I'm
Yeah, because I have
loving
to
your
get that.
shows. It's
Yeah, I have
like,
to,
you as a Christian Black man, you understand, where the issues are in your community as a Black man, in the community as a Christian.
yes.
So you can see where the flaws are as a Black, in the Black America and in Christian groups. You know where the problems are. The same
Hmm.
way I can say, no, I know where the problems are
Absolutely.
with Black women. I know where the problems are in Christianity. The hoes go get saved, and then they use it as a way to find a man, as opposed to finding their way to Jesus, which is the
Finding
point of
God. Yeah,
church. It's not supposed to,
exactly. Mhm.
your husband is going to be Jesus Christ the King. Stop looking for men. Don't come here for that. No one tells these women that,
Absolutely. Amen.
you know. And Black men,
Amen. Thank you.
they're
Mhm.
so, these just ain't sugar honey iced tea, and I'm like, you're not wrong.
Mhm.
But I do wonder
Yeah.
sometimes, like, if Black love, because I'm not on that. You either get your power from the king, or you get your power from the God of Black. You can't have both ways. This is why I'm not all for Black love.
Right.
You love who you love. But
Okay,
Most
yeah, I
black
agree.
men are going to find marriage outside of Black America. Most women who are good girls like me are going to find relationships outside of their race or outside of their neighborhoods. I used to live on the East Coast. Like I'm from New
Hmm.
York. I was
Okay.
living in Jersey and I came down here and I got lucky because my partner is a black man. I got I got lucky because where I was from, where I was living, black men weren't moving like him. So I'm
Hmm.
so proud and appreciative and grateful for the black man that I have because I'm like, you are a unicorn coming out of
Right.
Black America. You're a unicorn. So, and he thinks
Mhm.
the same of me. I'm a unicorn because he dealt with some trash out
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Black America. So I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
we
I
got
agree.
lucky.
Absolutely.
We got
Mhm.
lucky. So I don't know. I feel like maybe everybody on both sides, men and women, got to lower their standards. I mean, if we're going to get the marriage rate up and the birth rate back up, maybe people just got to put aside the fact that everybody was a hoe at one point or another, start popping out babies and teach them not to be hoes. Like that's 2 generations from now, society would have corrected itself. But hoes got to marry hoes if you want the marriage rate to go back up and you want, more babies to be born, whether it's black babies, white babies, mixed babies. I call them hybrid babies because I'm a hybrid baby. So I'm like, I don't even care. Just people need to start marrying people and popping out kids.
Right. Absolutely.
Like you need to see that. So I feel like some people are on both sides, men and women, are gonna have to lower their standards. I'm like, men, as long as she wasn't posting it on OnlyFans, you
Ah,
may
right, right.
have to
Mhm.
take a risk. Chick, as long as his body count isn't 1,000, marry him.
No, I
Marry him.
agree. And 100%, Asia. I'm so glad I ran into you because, like you said, the word unicorn. I believe that you are that, something that I call outliers, the exception to the rule. You know what I'm saying? But the other half of that is the exception to the rule isn't the exception isn't the definition of the rule. You know what I'm saying? And so I really
Yeah.
respect you, Asia. Thank you for coming. I'm not done. I'm just saying I appreciate you for giving these takes because I don't run into too many people like you, Asia, who actually have that, especially a Christian perspective. And that's why I respect you. That's why I usually I was quiet most of the time you spoke and stuff because I really like your point of view on things. And I agree. You know what I'm saying? The main part of this is I'm not trying to preach, but America has gotten away from God. Marriage has gotten away from God. That is a covenant that has been presented by God to be righteous with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Even Jesus said when he comes back, he's coming back for his church, which is his bride without spot or blemish, which means
Yep.
that, that doesn't mean we're going to be perfect, but at least have more righteous acts than we do our
Yeah, at
wrongful
some
sin.
point he would expect the congregation to have been delivered from their sin.
Amen.
That's what he's expecting. He's not expecting perfection. He's expecting that those who are bowing before him have at some point in their life turned away from their sin, and
Mm-hmm.
and that old version of them they let die
Mm-hmm.
and was reborn in his covenant. Like that's why when I look at marriage and I talk about marriage, even with my partner, I mean, he's a Christian, not capital C, but I'm definitely one who struggled with her own faith, and that was like really intense in the relationship in the beginning. So it's like, what's that
Mm-hmm.
balance, and how do I bring the king into this union so that way we both grow, we both learn, and we can continue to grow and build. And like I said, I mean, you sound exactly like him when you talk about the male perspective as a black man, what
Mm-hmm.
the experience is as a black man growing up in like certain areas, like in the hood, and the
Right.
different women and how black men were raised. Men in general, he was telling about how they're raised to smash.
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
That's that. And I'm like, yeah, y'all were raised to smash, and women were raised to compete with your libido. Like this is just a match made in hell, which is the
Right.
complete opposite of what the king wants. And I'm
Exactly.
just like you, raised with my mother. She wouldn't like me to say her age. So I'll just say she's a boomer. Same thing with my
Yeah,
stepfather.
baby boomer. Yeah, we can say that way too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 70. He's 70. He doesn't mind me saying it. My stepfather don't mind. He's 70. So I grew up with old people in the house.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't raised, my mother is a feminist, but she's a traditionalist.
Yeah,
for the
and I
most
got to
part.
say that
A girl
because
does, you don't live with a man unless you're married. You know, you submit to your husband.
hmm
You know, they're gonna, you know, and you commit. If there has to be a valid reason to leave. Now, I have to say it, my mom probably gonna be pissed, but she's been married 4 times. One of the marriages was until death do them part. My first stepfather passed away when I was like 13 years old.
oh
So, you know, my mom had been married 2 times before that, and these weren't no fault divorces, valid, legitimate reasons to leave these marriages, right? It was
right, okay,
abuse and numerous infidelities. So, legitimate cause to leave those 2 marriages. And
right,
after
okay, I get
having
you.
her third marriage, she knew what a marriage was supposed to be with my first stepfather who passed away. That's
hmm
what a marriage is. That's a holy union. That's a holy covenant. This is a marriage that has the king very present in the household. My first
hmm
stepfather was a deacon. I was raised by a deacon. So it was like, yeah,
Yeah,
this
my dad
is
was
what a
too.
marriage should be.
hmm
Right. This is what a marriage should be. So when he passed away and she remarried, she knows what a marriage should look like, how a woman is to be to a man, how a man is to be for his wife, what together they do for the children. That was this fourth, and we now know, final marriage. Like, there's no,
hmm
this is what the marriage should look like. And that's the kind of union that everybody should want. Not to say it's going to be perfect, because they weren't happy all the time, but
Right.
they committed to the institution. And so that's the thrill of it. I mean, you know, so like, I'm willing to, you're willing to put fear on the back burner, because if the chance of that kind of a union is the outcome, man, it's worth it. I mean, people should just take the leap. You know, be smart. If you know, after 6 months, you find out, you know, she takes the mask off and she, you know, got no teeth and all that, then you know, maybe not her,
hmm
maybe not her. Oh
Absolutely not.
man,
I agree with you 100%. No, I agree with you 100% on what you said. And even like, I'll say, like you said, your mom was a feminist. I like to give, because I know in the black manosphere, you know, you've been there long enough, you know, they go to war with the feminism. But I have to say this: there's 3 different types of feminism. There's called waves,
yes,
the 3 different waves of feminism. The first wave was just that, not that they didn't respect men. It was just more like, I want to work, I want to be able to vote, I want to be able to do things like that, drive for myself and stuff like that. I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. It wasn't until feminism started doing
I'm
this. I
so on that one. I'm not even gonna lie.
No, I know, but yeah, like, you know how you say you're so. I'm on exactly on
Yeah.
your page. I'm so. But the part that's so on the righteous side was the fact that they didn't disregard men. They just said, because feminism was
Yep.
like with what's her name, not Sojourner Truth. Well, yeah, her too, but the 19th
Oh
Amendment. But
yeah,
I
I
forgot her
did
name.
like, yeah. There were so many feminists back
I
then. Good
forget what
lord.
that's called though. What is
They
basically
were like
during
the
her.
suffragette movement and stuff. They were like
Yeah, like, I
the
want to vote
suffragette
and things like that.
movement.
Yeah, like, I want to vote, and because I want to drive for myself, because there was a point where women couldn't drive, get credit cards, or do lots of, and I'm against that as a man. Like, nah, the woman should be able to drive, she'd be able to get a credit card as long as she's responsible, you know, things like that. The first wave
Yeah.
of feminism, I'm behind that. Women should have a say in voting and things like that. It wasn't till we get to this, I can be like a man, because what that ushered in was what you said earlier, transgenders and all that. It got mutated into this thing. I don't think the first feminist was supposed to be. Like, my mom is married to my dad and loves my dad. She believes in the idea of feminism. My mom's not a feminist, but she believes in a
Yeah.
woman should be able the right to vote. A woman should be able to. But when you start doing this thing like, I don't need a man, that's where it becomes a problem. And I was gonna say about your mom, what I respect about your mom, and it's no disrespect, but I respect about your mom. She was married 4 times. She just wasn't a baby mom. See what I'm saying? She
Yeah.
knew, okay, this one didn't work, so let me try it again. I think even God respects that, because you respect his covenant. Okay, your stepfather passed away. Nobody can stop that. That's God's plan. But at the fact that she said
Yeah.
she was remarried, and I see how you speak, I'm like, man, she did a great, wonderful job of showing the example, because there's a lot of people that don't have that. So I just want to give you
They
kudos on
don't.
that. Like,
They
mhm.
definitely don't. I would say when it comes to that first wave of feminism, I'm not even gonna lie. Women had businesses before they had the right to vote. I mean, there was this musical called, what was it? War Paint. Patti LuPone was in it on Broadway, and it was pretty much about these two women who built the biggest makeup empires. And this was before they had the right to vote. They were making millions of dollars in America. And this was before they had, again, the right to vote. So this wasn't that women couldn't work. They were working, you know,
Right.
they
And you know what?
had the ability to be
Oh,
out and about in society and have a job and do all of that. And personally, I have a heart. I feel like, yes, women should have the right to vote, but wives and mothers should have the right to vote because at least their
okay.
priorities are straight. I mean,
Hmm.
mothers, even though they have this tendency to be, even the liberal women, you know, they can be selfish sometimes, but
Yeah, yeah.
ultimately, you want your kid to be safe. You vote for security, you vote to have money in your pocket. So your priorities are more in alignment with men, like manly men. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
single motherless women, no, everything's about what me getting the bag and me having power. And the
Right,
problem with women
exactly.
having power is that it corrupts them way faster than you've seen it corrupt a man. I mean, again, I bring
Hmm.
it back to, Eve is the reason why we got kicked out.
Absolutely.
She got
I was
manipulated and
upset.
then she manipulated Adam. Like that's how that
Hmm.
went. So
Yeah, absolutely.
wives and mothers can vote. And business owner women can vote to a degree, but again, not even. No, because it's the female empowerment movement that got us in this mess in the first place. Wives and mothers
Amen.
can vote
Mhm.
because they
Amen.
they they vote a little bit more in alignment, at least locally. Nationally, I don't know what the hell is the matter with women.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I disagree with.
What the heck?
As far as nationally, it goes back to that
Yeah.
separation of church and state. But no, I definitely agree. Trust me, Asia. I'm glad you're saying the things you're saying. That's why I've been mostly quiet. Like I interject on certain things, but I definitely agree with everything you're saying. And even we look at voting. Like I was just trying to be kind of generous because I do believe that women should have say. I'm not saying be quiet and do what I say. No, I believe what women should have to say. Like, but what women have to understand is during, like, let's just say the 1800s Civil War and even the early 1900s, when when it came to voting, you had to sign up for the draft. And you know what I'm saying? And most men and women
Yep.
understand most people that want to be in the army are men because I'm pretty sure you would want your man to fight. Like if someone broke in the house, you would want your
Heck
man to
yeah.
go down there. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
It's so, it's so,
I only get in it if they get through him. That's the only reason why I'm
right,
involved.
right. Amen. You see what I'm saying? I agree with that. Amen. And so that's why I wanted feminists, because a lot of feminists make the argument we weren't allowed to vote, but I said there was a lot of men that couldn't vote. If you didn't sign up for the draft, your opinion didn't matter. That was America at one point.
Yeah.
So I believe, because I know like feminists like to sell it like men were just these patriarchal monsters. I'm like, no, it wasn't that, because you can ask
They were willing to
your
die
stepfather.
for their land.
Right, exactly. Like, and I agree with that. And like, even if you ask your stepfather, like I'll ask my father, there was a time where men still cared about women. Like even back in the day, like you
Yeah.
couldn't just put your hands on a woman. Like people say, oh, you used to beat your wife. I'm like, nah, that happened in some cases, but a lot of men will
Yeah.
come like, you don't put your hands on my sister. You don't put your hands on my mother. You don't put you see what I'm saying?
Pretty
Men
much.
used to
Yeah.
have this thing of reverence for women. So I felt like men have always loved and cared about women. So feminism should have never been, in my opinion, existed. And you watch the Black Manosphere, and then a lot of them,
Yeah.
whether it's BGS or Edward Anderson, I don't know if you know these names, but they're part of it. And they say the same thing. And I'm like, I love women. I love for women to have their option to do what they want to do, as long as it's within the confines of,
What
first of all,
happened
God's law.
there, most women today don't realize that the first wave of feminism, um, less than
Mm-hmm.
2% of women in America actually wanted the right to vote when they were pushing for the right to vote. That's why it took so long to make it happen.
Right.
Because for like 80 years, they've been trying to get the right to vote. And only less than 2% of the female population in America actually wanted the right, because to vote meant too much responsibility. It was like, we're
Yeah,
going to
you got to
become
fight
another
for the
voting
country.
bloc. Yeah, we would become another voting bloc that they pander to and all that nonsense. And really, it was just a way for the, how do you put it? So it's like this whole thing with like the Federal Reserve and pretty much being able to have more people to tax. So if you create
Yes.
a society where women are in the environment, they're earning money. But again, less than 2% of women wanted that. Every woman was like, no, I want to be at home. I don't want to vote. I want to raise my kids. tend to my property, my home, his home. And,
Uh-huh.
while my kids are at school, I'm going to go do what I want, right? Go to the country club, go go dine with the girls. That's all women really were doing, unless you're like in like the Midwest, where for the most part, you're going to the lake to wash the clothes. You're cooking on the fire pit because there were no stoves
Right.
back then.
Mm-hmm.
Using a legitimate washer board because there were no washer machines. That's why
Right.
one of my favorite shows on streaming today is 1923 with Harrison Ford and
Mm.
Helen Mirren. It shows you what society was back in 1923 in the West. And
Mm-hmm.
if you watch the show, The Gilded Age, which shows the same time period, sort of, because it's like the 1800s, but in New York, you can see how the women were. They were at home. They had status. They used their husband's last name. They were
Mm-hmm.
known as Mrs. whatever his name was. She had power because he did.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
And that was America. That was
Uh-huh.
society. Women did not want the right to work or vote. They didn't want that. They wanted life to stay as is. They deliberately hurt the value of the dollar to force women into the workforce. Because now, when women say, I want my husband to retire me from the workforce, some men in the manosphere call that selfish and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, no, she's a trad
Mm-hmm.
wife. She wants to be home. But it's because of how expensive things are. Women can't even say, I want to be a trad wife. I want to be retired from the workforce. They can't even say that anymore. And men would be forced to
Right.
make 500,000 to $1 million a year just to do that. And that is what I find unfair. Feminists deliberately took the choice of being boss bitch or at home wife away from us
Uh-huh.
women and forced us into society. And then we broke America. Women broke America
Mm-hmm.
because we're the ones who took out these crazy ass student loans and credit
Yeah,
cards and
amen.
buying
Amen.
shit. We broke
And Asia,
America.
I want to
Women did.
add that you're 100% correct. No, you're 100% correct. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to
No, go ahead.
actually harp on what you said about. Yeah, I want to harp on what you said about why they allow feminism to progress the way it is because what happened was, see, money it's a money transfer thing. It's a financial game they're playing because they know, like, and what it is it's a like I said, money transfer. Like if you look at marketing strategies, right? Most commercials are marketed towards females
Women.
because they know that they're working more. They're working more. Women like to buy different little things, whether it's frivolous or not. Not saying good or bad, but
And
just they like
we'll
to buy
spend
stuff
the
so
money.
yeah, you see what I'm saying? So they knew, let's take it, because men are more like, if I don't need this thing, I'm not going to buy it. Because it's hard. Like I used to do sales, right? And it's harder. I found it's harder to sell to men than women because, when you're in sales, you have to basically sell the idea to somebody that they need this thing you're saying, even if they don't need it. And most men will be like, nah, I'm good. They'll listen to your pitch, but they're like, nah, I'm good. But if I sell it to a woman, like, you know what? Like I was selling this tire spray that makes your tires and your rims look better.
Yeah.
And I'll have to sell it to them like, no, you got a Benz, girl. You
You know
want that.
why?
Yeah.
I feel it's because sales is connected to emotion. You have to trigger something. Now,
Uh-huh.
I'll say like men buy way more sneakers than women. So none of the I mean, there's not that many commercials for the sneakers. You men just find a way to get your hands on them. Like there'll be an ad or,
Exactly.
you'll be in the middle of the game and be like, yo, Curry sneakers today. Look, those are fire. I got to get me a pair. But it's not the ad that got you to buy it. It's, you watching the game. It's you seeing a friend wearing the kicks. It's you scrolling your Instagram. So you guys you don't really need the ad itself to show, but like certain products, you don't need an emotional reaction to it. It's just, it's fire. I want it. Same thing with cars. It's fire. I want it. You guys will do the research, how much it costs, how this, that, and the third. Women,
details. Yeah.
it's an emotional thing. I mean, I get emotional when I bought my PS4. Like, come on. So it's an emotional thing for two things. One, I'm crying because this shit does cost 300 and change. Excuse my French, Lord. And I'm also emotional because I've been bored for so long, and I'm so happy that I got something more to do. This was during the COVID years, so it was like, I needed something to do other than watch television. I needed something new. So it was very emotional. So it didn't take much to advertise this PS4 to me, especially on a sale, because I'm the ball on a budget queen. So it's all tied
Like
into
my mom,
emotions
right?
when you sell. Word, like Broadway tickets, because my twin sister used to do that. I used to do it for, I think, like one summer I used to sell Broadway tickets. It's just like you said, easier to sell to women. Now I have been able to sell to men,
Mhm.
mostly homosexuals, but I have been able to sell to straight men, but they're there
Yeah.
with their children. So I'm telling them which I start with cost, because that's the first thing men want to hear.
Yeah,
And which
yeah.
of these shows are of the affordable ones, which one is most appropriate for your children. And so fathers were easier to sell to, because whatever the child got excited about, that's generally what he went with, as long as the price was affordable.
Absolutely.
Women,
Mhm.
oh
I
gosh,
agree.
man, it was easy. Oh no, but this show, and she was in love, and then she was abused, and then there was this, and it smells like pies when you walk in the theater. I mean,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
so easy with women. So
yeah. Mhm.
it's tied to emotion with sales. That's why I totally agree with you. Totally easy to sell to women.
Mhm.
Totally
Yeah,
easy.
from experience. Yeah, I did that
Yeah,
on everything.
women just everything's emotional with them. Like I tell my partner all the time, like I'm Vulcan. Like, do you ever watch Star Trek?
I wasn't a Star Trek fan, but I do like sci-fi. But go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah, you should don't watch this new crap. This new crap sucks. You got to watch
The
like old
old
school
school. I
Star
know,
Trek,
and
like
that's how I am. I'm nostalgic
Next
for everything.
Generation,
Mhm.
Voyager. But there's this species
Like with
called
William
Vulcan,
Shatner
and
and
they
all
are
that. Yeah.
the original series Spock, right?
Mhm.
He's a Vulcan. So they are pretty much a humanoid species that they're not without emotion, they just bury it.
Mhm.
And for the most part, women need to be that way when they go into the wild. It would make it easier for
Mhm.
men to trust their women if when they go into the wild, that's what I call the world. You
Mhm.
go into the
Wilderness.
world, you go to your job. If you're Vulcan, nothing can get through, right? No one who's trying to flirt with you or smash you. There's nothing, you're not giving them anything emotionally, because again, you got to sell to this woman why she should hook up with you, why she should go on a date with you. You got to
Mhm.
sell yourself to this
Mhm.
female. But if she goes into the world Vulcan, then the men can't get to her. They can't sell themselves to her. They can't trigger an emotional response. And that's how women need to approach pretty much everything in life, right? When they go to work,
Mhm.
when they vote, when they're in a relationship and they want to protect the sanctity of the relationship. Because, my partner tells me all the time, men don't care that you're in a relationship. They'll smash and dash and you'll be left holding the bag. Like your man will leave you just because of that. And it's like, so when you're in a relationship,
Yeah.
women,
No.
you be Vulcan, go into the wild Vulcan. Don't let any man try to ruin it. And I would say the same thing for you
Mhm.
men. Women
Yeah.
find men in relationships attractive. It's like catnip to them. And women are Cheshire cats. They want to
Yes,
be
that's
left
true.
alone until they want attention. And they want the attention from men in relationships because it means she doesn't have to fully commit,
Mhm.
but she may be able to like get something out of it. And they find you men in relationships like way more attractive than the single guy, way more attractive. And so it's like men, women, it's hard in modern society. It's like too many people are looking to smash, too many people don't
Mhm.
respect marriage, too many people don't respect a relationship. And so you got to work extra hard, especially when society at large is doing everything it can to destroy it and the value of it. So,
Yes.
I
Mhm.
mean, that's why I think it's important for like shows like yours and mine to call out both men and women. We're 100% fair across the board. Everybody can be called a hoe.
Absolutely.
Everybody can be called out
Mhm.
for their wrongdoing. And I think that's important because
Absolutely.
then it's like, you can teach them some things. You can teach them some
Absolutely.
things.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, Asia, because I have to start calling this to a close. I love what you're saying, but my laptop is also about to die, and I have to go to work
Got
in
it.
about an hour. But you know what though, man, Asia, I really love that you came on this platform. You know what I'm saying? I have my cousin and a few others that come on, but you have had the most, like I said, consistent point of view. You've had the most I would say not just educated, but what is a better way for saying you have the most informative point of view. And I love that you came on my show. I really have enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, JB,
And
I had such a good time. This was fun. I haven't done one of these
me
in
too.
a
Yeah, I
long time.
enjoyed myself. Yeah, honestly.
This was
Yeah.
fun.
And I would ask you for a
Definitely.
favor. You said you're a content creator. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you said you're a content creator. I
Yep.
would love to come on your show too. And you brought up a good, and we're Christians, so I know we'll have a good one about this, about the transgender and the feminism idea.
Yes.
I would love to, because they're kind of tied together. It's all kind of tied together. It's an algorithm of its own.
They are.
Um,
They are. I piss a lot of women off with the feminist thing, and I piss a lot
Yeah.
of gay people. I got to get used to saying that because sometimes I could be very, very offensive on my show. I don't care, but
so,
I
yeah, I
mean,
can't. Yeah, me too. Me too. You're not
but
wrong.
it's like,
You're not
it is
wrong.
what it is.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all. But I would ask this: when are you available? I would love to do that show with you. If not on your channel, then mine as well. And I bring in a few people, or it could just be one-on-one with me and you. But what days are you available?
So usually, like during the week, I usually record, but I'm actually won't be available like all week next week. So
Oh, okay.
I'll be like next weekend, like I would say like Friday. I would say Friday night. I'll
Next
be able
Friday,
to.
okay.
I live, yeah, next Friday. Well, this Friday, well, right, because today's Saturday. So yeah,
Yeah, so, yeah,
next Friday coming. Yeah, I'll be available. I live in Dallas, so what 7 p.m. my time is 8 p.m. Eastern time. So as long as we are on the same
yeah.
page
I'm
with
on
time zones, then we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm in California though. I know you guys
Oh,
got
so
us
you're
by 2
behind
hours.
me.
I have an uncle. Yeah, I have an uncle in Texas, so I know it's 2 hours. That's why I wanted to set this up because I really want to do this with you. And I know there's a lot of my audience that would really love to watch this. So what hours of Friday do you think you'll be available? I will make the time.
Yeah, like 7 to 9. So it's like 7 to 9 my time. So whatever time that is, it's California
About
time.
5,
I don't
6
track
here.
California. I don't really like California. So you're on your own with that one.
Oh,
No
man.
offense. I don't really like Cali, though.
Okay, because I know we have our problems here, but I guess I hope I've shown today that there's a few of us left in Cali that still got some sense. You know what I'm saying? And still
Yeah,
have-
you guys do. You know what? I got to be honest. Just the last thing. I won't even say it's because of all the Newsom problems that you guys have, but as a New Yorker, fast pace. I went to LA. Well, I landed in Burbank, so near LA. It was so slow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, y'all be moving like y'all got all the time in the world. I'm from New York. I didn't like that very much. I mean, maybe because it was the COVID time and who knows, but it was way slow for my pace.
No, I get it because I know, and guys, I've heard that about New York. Y'all move kind of awfully quick. Us, I guess out here, I guess we have this thing.
Move like you got a purpose. That's the motto.
Right, and I think some of the things we have access to made us lazy. That's why you can't give people a bunch of stuff all at once. Because remember, Cali's where everything happens. Even when it comes to this election, everybody wants to get what? California, North Carolina. These are the big ones, But I don't take offense to that because I know the sins of the land I'm in. There's people even in the Bible when they lived in Babylon, they knew Babylon is still messed up. You know what I'm saying? So
I felt the same way about the East Coast. That became Sodom and Gomorrah. I left.
Yeah, it's definitely that out here. I feel you. You're not wrong. I can't even get offended. But I would love because it's very few times I run into women such as yourself, and that's a big compliment for me. I really appreciate you, Asia. And if your man wants to come on, your cousins, anybody else, we should be able to do that show. So you said Friday. I'll try to make myself available between it's 5 here when it's 7 there. So
now, if you have any lives happening, like I won't be available like with my podcast set up, but I'll be able to like log on to StreamYard from like my phone. So any panel that you got going like during the week and stuff, I may log on to those every now and again. If you have your link available out there. But as far as like a whole full out setup like this, then it'll only be Friday.
Okay, for sure. And I thank you. And then so I just would like to set up a small social media date for this. So Friday about 5 a.m. because I could get my material because I have a lot to say about that anyway. But I want to make sure it's critiqued for your audience so it can be professional. So 5, I'm willing to do it because so can we set it up at 5 next Friday?
5 your time is 7 my time, right?
Yeah, 7 your time. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep,
I
that'll
would
be
love to
fine. So
do
what
it.
is that? The 13th, right? Oh, Friday the 13th. That's gonna be fun.
Right. Wow, that's we gotta be extra holy on that day. We don't need no evil vibes on here. No, but thank you so much,
Word.
Asia. I appreciate you so much. Like I said,
Thank
I have
you.
to get going. I wish we could keep it going, but I have to actually get going. Thank you so much, Asia. I
Yeah, no,
appreciate
go
you
do
so much.
your thing. Go do your thing.
Absolutely. If you find it in your heart to do so, please like and subscribe so that, not that I could just build my social media network, but I need people like you on my page and in my subscribers that actually have a real perspective and not
Man,
just either side on
I'm
me or
subscribed and I got the bell notification on. That's how I knew you were going live now. Like, we're good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. Well, God bless you,
Anytime.
Asia.
Thanks
I
again.
love that you came and spent the time with me. You have a great day, and God bless you in
You
all
too,
the
man.
best ways and best forms. All right. Take care,
God
Asia.
bless you too, Jody. Latest.
All right. All right, guys. This has been another episode of JB Speaking, where Black men speak freely. Once again, I've been your host, and shout out to Asia. If you guys are on right now, please go subscribe to her page. I am not somebody that just says subscribe to me. Subscribe to her page as well. Much love to all you guys. This is JB, and God bless you all. Remember, Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior. If you have not subscribed to anything, please subscribe to Christianity. Not Christianity. Forget Christianity. Subscribe to Christ Jesus and his doctrine, his gospel, and the life lessons, sacrifice, and death and resurrection he's done. Thank you. I didn't mean to preach, but I have to make sure I witness. If you don't know what you're going to do in life, put your faith in Jesus Christ. I don't care what other people call him Jesus Christ. Put your faith in him, and you shall have a blessed life and a blessed afterlife because you'll be with him forever. All right, this is JB9 Deuce, represent JB Speakeasy, the Black platform, Black Men Speak Freedom. I'm your JB9 Deuce. God bless you. You have a wonderful day. I love you all. Take care. Thank you. God bless.